Shabbat Shalom. Well, this is certainly going to be the most memorable Hanukkah that I've ever celebrated. And that is saying something, because I've seen a lot of Hanukkahs in my life so far. So here at Beth Yeshurun, we kicked off the Hanukkah celebration last Sunday, as many of you know, with all kinds of activities for kids, food and friends. We had hundreds of people here, all having a great time. And then came the fireworks display. Our second annual Beth Yeshurun Light Up the Night show, which was really a spectacular event. Then Monday night, I attended the Hanukkah party at the Israeli Consul General's home. She invited a lot of guests of all different faiths and all the different community leaders from several different of the Houston communities. A few months ago, as I mentioned in an earlier sermon, I had been invited to her Interfaith Sukkah party, which was also quite exciting. She's really made an effort to reach out to various communities here in Houston. At her party, she asked a Jewish astronaut, Jessica Mayer, to light one of the two candles, and then she asked Rice University President Reginald DeRoches to light the second candle. A member of the Zoroastrian community was at the party. She was also at the Sukkah party, and I got to talk with her then. So having saw her again, we arranged to have a Zoroastrian come and speak to us the last Sunday morning in January. So stay tuned. At 11 o'clock, the last Sunday in January, as part of our JLP program, we'll have a presentation from a Zoroastrian to talk about their faith and traditions. And by the way, there's sort of a connection to Hanukkah there, because King Cyrus of Persia issued the decree that the Jews should go home and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. And King Cyrus was a Zoroastrian. And if we hadn't rebuilt that temple around 516 before the Common Era, we wouldn't have had a temple to restore after the Greek pagans had messed it up about 350 years later. Anyway, the party was a tribute to the diversity of cultures, faiths, and ethnicities here in our great city. And the Consul General intentionally wanted to celebrate that diversity at Hanukkah as she did at Sukkot. Speaking of diversity, on Tuesday night, I attended a Chicanaka party. A local attorney, Jacob Monti, organized a Hanukkah party to bring together the Latino and Jewish communities. And Jacob likes to refer to himself as a Chicano, so he came up with the name Chicanaka for this particular celebration. Jacob has brought several groups of Latinos to Israel over the past several years. My first time going to this Chicanaka party, and it was a lot of fun. And then came Wednesday night. Yeah, so about 1,000 people showed up here to come and see and hear Alex Bregman being interviewed in our park sanctuary by KPRC sports anchor Ari Alexander. And in case you missed it, by some chance, we did record it, and you can watch it on our YouTube channel. Bregman is truly a mensch. He talked about growing up Jewish in Albuquerque, New Mexico, having had a bar mitzvah, and working hard to become the outstanding baseball player he has become. He stayed to have a photo with every single person who came up afterwards, and he signed all kinds of paraphernalia. And he spoke over and over again about what a welcoming and wonderful city Houston is, and how he genuinely wants to give back to our community. He also expressed well-deserved gratitude to his wife, Reagan, and his son, Knox, who was not yet 5 months old, was quite a sport that whole evening as well. Our president, David Stein, gave Alex several gifts, including a signed baseball from all three of us rabbis. What do all of these Hanukkah parties have in common? They are all symbolic of what makes the United States such a diverse country. People of all different religions, or no particular religion at all, people from all over the world, people of different cultural backgrounds, even multiple cultural backgrounds all at once, people of all shapes, sizes, and colors, people with all kinds of talents and skills, and I think that's fantastic. And you can see that diversity at a baseball game, a truly American sport. It is one of the great strengths of living in America. We are a multicultural, multi-faith nation. a tapestry of different traditions and customs that each community shares with each other. But this is only possible if we take to heart one of the central lessons of the real Hanukkah story. That story, as we know, took place about 2,200 years ago when the Jews living in Israel were being ruled over by the Greeks in Syria, whose king, as we all know, was Antiochus IV. At the time, Greek civilization was very, very attractive. Just as the world today finds American movies and sporting events captivating, people all over the world 2,200 years ago were captivated by Greek entertainment, Greek plays, the athletic competitions in the gymnasia. Just as people all over the world today wear American fashions, people all over the world 2,200 years ago adopted Greek clothing styles and hairstyles. Just as many, many people in the world speak English and read American novels and nonfiction works, back then, many people spoke Greek. They read Greek stories. They read Greek philosophy books. Back then, Greek art and forms of government were also very popular. And Greek religion, including sacrificing pigs to the Greek gods and goddesses, became very commonplace. It's not surprising then that some Jews in Israel at that time were also quite taken by Greek civilization and wished to become more like the Greeks. This was not necessarily bad. I would say it was even good, up to a point. Greek science and philosophy did have a lot to offer, as did Greek plays and literature. But some of these Jewish folks went so far as to suggest maybe it's not such a bad idea if we gave up keeping kosher, if we gave up the observance of the Sabbath, if we gave up circumcising our baby boys, if we stopped teaching Torah, our Jewish history and values, our culture and thought to our children. Some of these folks even started worshiping according to the Greek religion. Had all the Jews gone down that road, needless to say, that would have been the end of Judaism. Giving up those things which define us as a unique people, with a special relationship to God and to each other, with special responsibilities to speak out for justice, to protect God's creation, for extending kindness and compassion to others. Giving up those things which our Hellenized comrades wanted to do would have meant the disappearance of our people, the silencing of those values forever, long before Christianity or Islam would have come along. The story we learned when we were children that the bad king Antiochus, king of Syria, came into the city of Jerusalem and decreed that all Jews should stop practicing Judaism, that's true, but it's only part of the story. It's also true that he may have been invited to do so by this faction of Jews who wanted to Hellenize. In any case, Jews who were loyal to Judaism revolted against this decree and attacked not only the Syrian Greek army, which was sent to enforce the laws, but also the Hellenized Jews who had given up Judaism. These rebels were from a family of priests called the Hasmoneans, led by a priest, as we all know, named Mattathias, and later by his son Judah, who was nicknamed Maccabee or Hammer. The Maccabees, as these rebels were later called, engaged in guerrilla warfare against the Syrian Greeks until they were able to recapture the Temple Mount, purify the area, and rededicate it to the worship of our God. All of this we know from many sources. Two versions of the story were written by Jews close to the time when the events took place, in books called not so creatively Maccabees 1 and Maccabees 2. They're concluded in the Catholic Bible, not in ours, because we didn't think they were holy enough to include in our Bible. But anyway, these books were written shortly after the battles were fought. They reflect eyewitnesses' accounts, and that's how we know what happened. The real story of Hanukkah, then, is about preserving our own unique culture, our faith, our customs, our traditions, while living in a powerful, successful, advanced, and inviting surrounding culture, much like America is today. Jews in the generation after the Maccabees often adopted Greek literary styles. They probably wore Greek clothing. They certainly learned the Greek language. They studied Greek philosophy and science. And they enjoyed the benefits of living in a modern, civilized culture. But within that world, We continue to worship God according to our own traditions. We continue to keep kosher and observe Sabbath and other festivals. We studied our own sacred texts and tried to live by the laws that it ordained. That's why we're still here today. We have learned how to adopt and adapt the best of the culture and the place we live in while maintaining our unique aspects of our faith and traditions. And America has no doubt been the friendliest environment for us to do that. But America is a country of immigrants from all over the world, and each culture and faith has brought their own traditions and customs. And that has created this rich tapestry of life, the symphony of human spirit. Without each culture, faith, and ethnicity preserving their own unique characteristics, there would be no tapestry, no symphony. Our city would be monochromatic, one flat color, where everyone believed the same exact thing and did the same exact rituals and customs. What we learn from the story of Hanukkah is that we can enjoy the celebrations of our neighbors while maintaining our own faith and rich heritage and contributing that and our cultural gifts to the mix of American life. It is indeed a blessing to have so many opportunities to celebrate light, joy, happiness, and faith among our family, our friends, our neighbors, and our fellow citizens. But we should remember the message of Hanukkah. It is up to us to hold fast to our own traditions so that we continue to share them for generations to come. Shabbat Shalom.